Okay, let's unpack this. We've got quite a stack of sources here, all digging into post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, it's a really complex topic.
It is, and it touches so many lives, often in ways people don't even see. So our mission today, using these different materials, is to pull out the really key insights.
Right, try to make sense of it all.
Exactly. Move past just the clinical label, get into the human side of it, this sort of invisible storm, how it affects the mind, the body.
And crucially, the ways forward, the pathways to healing.
Absolutely. It's about understanding, but also about finding, well, hope and some practical knowledge too.
And one thing that jumps out straight away from all the sources is that trauma isn't just the event, the thing that happened.
No.
It's more the lasting internal stuff, that feeling of fear, being totally overwhelmed, helpless,
Yeah.
that gets kind of wired in.
Wired into your body and mind.
Precisely.
And it's so personal. Yeah, the examples in the sources really show that range, don't they? Witnessing violence, losing someone, natural disasters, accidents, but also things like childhood neglect or instability or even ongoing stress, like being bullied.
Things that might not seem like a single big T trauma sometimes.
Right, and the material really stresses, it's not about comparing. Your experience is your experience.
Exactly. And when that internal imprint, that wiring, doesn't get resolved, that's when we might see what's clinically defined as PTSD.
The official diagnosis.
Yeah, often using frameworks like the DSM-5, that's the diagnostic manual doctors use. It basically describes the mind and body being stuck in survival mode, long after the actual danger is over.
So the off switch is broken, kind of?
You could say that. The system just doesn't reset.
And the sources point to these key symptoms, right? Like intrusion symptoms, flashbacks, nightmares, where the past just bursts into the present.
Terrifyingly so, yeah. And then there's the avoidance piece, actively trying to steer clear of anything, people, places, thoughts that brings the trauma back up.
Which can really shrink your world.
Hugely. Then you've got the negative changes in thinking and mood. That persistent guilt or shame we see mentioned.
Feeling numb, maybe? Or like you're fundamentally broken or changed for the worse?
All of that.
Yeah.
And lastly, hyperarousal. That feeling of being constantly on edge, jumpy, scanning for threats.
Which must be exhausting, leading to irritability, trouble sleeping, concentrating.
Absolutely. And it's important to note, like the sources say, this might not show up right away. It could be weeks, months, even years later.
And they also mention CPTSD, complex PTSD.
Right, yeah. That's often linked to more prolonged or repeated trauma, especially things like childhood abuse or neglect. It can bring extra layers of difficulty, particularly around self-worth and relationships.
That brings up a really important point from the sources, the difference between like a normal reaction to something awful and actual PTSD.
Yes, that distinction is crucial. An acute stress response right after a trauma, that's expected. Symptoms usually fade.
I liked the metaphor they used. Normal stress is like a thunderstorm. It's intense, maybe messy for a bit, but it passes.
Yeah, the clouds break, sun comes out. PTSD, though, that's more like a flood. The stress response system, the nervous system, it just doesn't recede.
The water stays high.
Right. It disrupts your whole inner world, interferes with life day in, day out. Seeing it as a flood, not just a passing storm, helps remove that judgment, It's not a weakness, it's a physiological state.
That shift in perspective is huge, isn't it? It helps explain why it feels like such an invisible, lonely battle.
Yeah.
The sources really dig into those quiet, daily impacts.
The silent signs, yeah. They talk about this kind of emotional loop. Those flashbacks, for instance, they're not just memories.
No.
They're vivid relivings. Your body reacts like it's happening now. A smell, a sound, anything can trigger it.
And underneath it all often is this constant anxiety, not just worry, but your nervous system literally stuck on high alert.
Always scanning, yeah. Making you feel wired, maybe irritable.
And the guilt and shame the sources describe, that sounds incredibly heavy, believing you should have done something different or that it's your fault somehow.
False beliefs, often born from the trauma itself, but carried silently, causing so much pain.
What the material makes really clear, though, is this isn't just in your head. PTSD lives in the body, too.
Absolutely. Profoundly. Think about the fatigue. Even if you rest, you're exhausted because your system is running that marathon, 247 hypervigilance.
Makes perfect sense. And the sleep problems, insomnia, nightmares.
Which just wears down your resilience, even affects your immune system. It's not just annoying, it's depleting.
And panic attacks. The sources describe them as terrifying, heart racing, can't breathe, feeling like you're dying.
Your body is screaming danger, even if you're sitting safely at home. And often, as the notes point out, people end up chasing physical diagnoses because the symptoms feel so physical, missing the trauma root.
Wow. And then there's the ripple effect on connections, on relationships.
Yeah, the isolation. It might start as a coping strategy, pulling back when overwhelmed, but it breeds loneliness.
And the strain on relationships, finding it hard to connect, being guarded, numb, maybe.
Or
Loved
respect.
ones might not understand the internal struggle.
Exactly. There's fear of vulnerability,
Yeah.
misunderstandings, and avoidance. That core symptom, it often extends to people in social situations too.
Shrinking your world again. Short-term relief, but...
Long-term cost, yeah.
But here's the key message repeated in the material, right? These are not signs of weakness.
Not at all. They are signs your mind and body are desperately trying to protect you, using the tools they have, even if those tools are now causing distress.
Which kind of leads us into the science bit, how trauma actually changes the brain. It's not just psychological, it's physical.
Right. It literally rewires the brain for survival. A measurable shift. It's biology, not a character flaw.
So that ancient alarm system, fight, flight, freeze it, gets stuck in the on position.
That's a great way to put it. Stays activated. So you're flooded with stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline. Makes it incredibly hard to relax, to feel safe.
You become hypersensitive to anything that even hints at threat.
And your focus narrows. The brain prioritizes survival above everything else, making other kinds of thinking difficult.
The sources highlight a few key brain areas involved here.
Yes. 3 main players usually come up. First, the amygdala. Think of it as the alarm bell.
Okay.
After trauma, it can become overactive, ringing that alarm constantly, even when there's no fire. Lots of false alarms.
Got it. And the hippocampus.
That's like the memory keeper. Its job is to process experiences, put them in context, file them away as past.
But trauma messes that up.
It gets overwhelmed, disorganized. That's partly why traumatic memories can feel so fragmented, or like they're happening right now, they haven't been properly time-stamped and stored.
And the third one, the prefrontal cortex.
The thinker, your rational brain, logic, planning, emotional regulation.
What happens?
The sources suggest it can kind of go offline during the trauma itself, and its connection to the other areas can be weakened afterwards. That's why it can be hard to think clearly or manage intense emotions you might feel hijacked by your feelings.
That explains that disconnect people feel, doesn't it? Knowing rationally I'm safe, but your body is screaming danger.
Exactly. Or feeling intense guilt when the rational part knows it wasn't your fault. That fragmentation between memory, emotion, and logic is key.
And therapy often works on reconnecting those parts.
So that's a big part of it, yeah. Helping the brain rebuild those pathways.
And the really empowering message here, threaded through all this material, is that these brain changes, they aren't necessarily permanent.
Right. Neuroplasticity. The brain's amazing ability to adapt, change, and rewire itself. The symptoms are adaptations, signals, not proof you're broken. Understanding the why can shift shame to knowledge.
Which leads us perfectly into the next part, the pathways to healing, finding a way forward.
Yes. And the sources are clear. Healing is unique to each person. There's no single cure, but there are so many proven tools and approaches. It's about finding your way back to a sense of peace and strength.
Professional support seems like a cornerstone in most of the material.
Absolutely. Things like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, it gives you practical tools to challenge those negative thought patterns, manage anxiety.
And EMDR keeps coming up. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Yeah, that's presented as a really powerful way to help the brain process traumatic memories safely so they lose their intense emotional punch.
Medication is mentioned too as a support.
Definitely. It can help rebalance brain chemistry, ease severe symptoms like anxiety or depression, improve sleep, often used alongside therapy to make the work more possible.
But it's not just about therapy and meds, is it? The sources also talk a lot about holistic approaches, the mind-body connection.
Hugely important. Things like breath work. Simple techniques to calm the nervous system down when it gets activated.
Like that 4-7-8 breathing, maybe?
Exactly. Simple things like that can make a real difference in the moment. And mindfulness, meditation.
Learning to just be present with your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Right. It reduces stress, builds self-compassion. Starting small, maybe guided meditations, is often the way in.
And nature. Getting outside. Some of the sources, like the Life Fuel 365 notes, really emphasize that.
Yes, spending time in nature is shown to be incredibly soothing for a traumatized nervous system. Lowers stress hormones, lifts mood.
Journaling, too, or creative expression, getting things out.
Powerful outlets. Sometimes words are hard, so finding other ways to process emotions, make sense of things, it's vital.
And community. Not being alone in this.
Crucial. Support groups online or in person, connecting with others who get it, it breaks down that isolation.
Yeah, that sense of solidarity must be huge.
Definitely. And then there are the lifestyle foundations underpinning everything.
Like sleep, prioritizing good sleep hygiene.
Yes, making your bedroom a sanctuary, sticking to a routine, it's fundamental for brain health and resilience.
And food. What we eat matters.
It really does. Nourishing your body with whole foods, things rich in antioxidants, omega-3s, vitamins. It supports brain function and mood. Anti-inflammatory eating can help too.
Gentle movement comes up a lot too. Not pushing too hard, but
Right, like walking, yoga, swimming. It releases endorphins, helps regulate stress, and crucially, helps you gently reconnect with your body in a safe way.
and maybe being mindful of things like alcohol or caffeine.
Yeah, they can often make anxiety worse or mess with sleep, so being aware is key.
What really comes through here is that it's your journey,
Yeah.
building your personal toolbox.
Exactly. Trying things gently, seeing what resonates for you. There's no one-size-fits-all. And consistency, even with small steps, that's what builds resilience over time.
Which brings us to, well, the possibility of life after trauma, recovery.
And the sources are really encouraging here. Recovery is possible. It's not about forgetting or erasing the past.
No,
It's about learning to live fully, meaningfully with this new strength you've discovered.
they're realistic about it though, aren't they? It's not a straight line.
Not at all. It's messy. Ups and downs, feeling stuck, then maybe having a breakthrough. The key seems to be patience, self-compassion.
And celebrating the small wins.
Absolutely. A night of peaceful sleep, feeling a moment of real joy, making a connection. Those are huge victories.
Trauma can really shake your foundations, your sense of self. So rebuilding is part of it.
A big part.
Yeah.
Rebuilding your identity, rediscovering your strengths, values, passions, rebuilding trust starting with yourself, your body, then maybe carefully with others.
And finding purpose again.
Yes, whether that's through work, relationships, creativity, service. It's described as this really courageous act of self-love, of resilience.
And the material really pushes back against the idea that trauma defines you forever.
It doesn't have to. The future is yours to create, guided by freedom, not fear.
Which means making conscious choices, setting boundaries.
Yes, saying no when you need to, surrounding yourself with support, stepping back into your own power. Through healing, you start to reclaim your own story.
It stops being just a story of pain.
And becomes one of survival, absolutely, but also strength, transformation, resilience.
The sources use this beautiful idea of becoming.
Yeah, healing isn't just about getting back to who you were. It's a process of becoming more whole, more free, more authentically you, forging a new relationship with your past, living alongside it with courage and hope.
So wrapping up this deep dive, we've gone from understanding trauma and PTSD to seeing its invisible daily effects.
Look at the brain science behind it,
Explored all these different pathways to healing.
and landed on the real possibility of recovery, of building a meaningful life.
The core message, weaving through everything we looked at, seems to be this. You are not broken.
You are incredibly strong for navigating this. You are worthy, and so importantly, you are not alone. Healing is possible.
Your journey is yours alone, unique, and your story, it's still being written by you.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with, building on that idea of becoming. While healing from trauma is incredibly hard work, maybe one of the hardest things anyone does, the material hints that this journey can actually uncover depths of strength, resilience, maybe even a clarity of purpose that might have stayed hidden otherwise. It's not just surviving, it can be a profound transformation.
Leading to a deeper expression of who you truly are.
Exactly.
Stay curious.
Stay resilient.
Keep the spark alive.